Hello everyone, Maurice saying here. Welcome to Tanks Invest, where we're going to be talking about investing, finance, and professional development. For today's videos, for entertainment purposes only, the stock that we're going to talk about today would be Palantir, ticker PLTR. So I'm going to go through our technical analysis on where I see the stock going from here based on some of the macro and microeconomical factors that we've been identifying so far. I'm going to give you guys my ideal price point for you to get into in case you're interested in of buying the stock sometime in the future, and also my year-end price target for 2021 as well. So stay tuned, stick around, and let's make some money. So looking at the technical analysis, just to take a recap on what happened historically. So right now we look at the daily chart right now. You could see that ever since the IPO that happened last year, we begin at the $9 level and subsequently rally because of both the exogenous catalysts that we've been seeing a lot from the media affectations, but also with respect to the Wall Street bet. Palantir is a kind of a cult stock, similar to like so more like a mini Tesla type of cult following on Wall Street bet. Subsequently rallied the stock all the way up from the $10 level to like a $32 level of a pump, right? And ever since that consolidated and another pump because of that time period when it was the GameStop and the AMC hype, with respect to the Wall Street bet that subsequently pumped the stock even further. Right, and this was the peak was basically in the beginning or end of January, or like basically mid of Q1. And ever since that, at the $46 level, we sold off significantly because of the sector rotations that we've been seeing, right, across the board for a lot of the growth stocks. Also of the fact Q1 is the tax season for a lot of people and corporations in the U.S. I know they postponed the tax dates to May 17th, which is basically 2 weeks from today. A little bit over 2 weeks from today. So that also create some sort of an affectation across the board, right? Some people like to sell earlier, some people like to sell later. And also because of the we ran up so significantly last year already, right? This pump was seismic, right? If you look at that, this is just deviating the whole chart completely, right? Which anything that goes up really really fast, it always drives some sort of a unnatural type of momentum, right? And when something that's unnatural as this is drives an outlier to the supply and demand for the stock, that subsequently drove the stock downward, right? And also on top of that, some of the exogenous factors that we've been seeing so far with respect to the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, with respect to the monetary policies, the inflation scares that we've been also experiencing, and also on top of that, with the recent announcements from Joe Biden around the tax adjustments for a lot of the corporate tax, and also with respect to the capital gains tax, subsequently will hinder a lot of these stock investors and equity holders or asset appreciator in aggregate. So that could that subsequently have more of a negative affectation to the catalyst to the stock, which subsequently drove the stock from $45 level to right now at the $20 level, basically back to where we were a while ago. Right, so look at the chart right here on a daily perspective. We've been selling off ever since, and we are looking at the RSI and the MACD perspective. You can see that RSI, we are significantly oversold. Which if you were thinking about investing in Palantir, I think it's a great time for you to buy in right now. But one thing to call out is that we are currently showing some sort of a downward trend movement right now. Despite the fact that we've been selling off, I'm talking about more of the MACD perspective. We are crossing downward right now. So, and if you look at the resistance level right now, right, historically, and I'm just going to draw a chart here, this will probably make it easier for you guys to see what I'm talking about. You could see that Palantir has been kind of hovering over this level at the $20 level, and as of last week on Friday, we have officially broken that trend. We've officially broken that resistance level right now, right? So if you take a look at the resistance level right now, we are basically breaching that right now, and the RSI is downward. Despite being downward, the MACD is crossing down right now, right? So this is a kind of like a mixed bag right now. So what I see is that we will actually go further down in the near future, And the next resistance level, if you look at it closely, let me just extend the line a little bit so you can see what I'm talking about. We will actually go back to this resistance level before the pump, like somewhere around like the 1850 1780 level, which as you can see, that was like some small consolidation before the rally. So we will definitely go back there, but in terms of like the horizon of the next couple of days, I foresee, because of the fact that RSI has been low, highly oversold, I foresee it's going to be rebounding a little bit slightly. So we might go possibly go back to like the $20 level, retest it, but and then subsequently bounce back down again. Okay. So right now, I think it's a perfect price point level for you to get in if you're interested in, in the long term perspective of the stock. But definitely in terms of like the short term outlooks, it doesn't look that good to me. And if I was, an investor, I think I will watch out for the level, knowing the fact that we broke it already. So the next one is just more of like a free fall. But luckily the free fall is not that steep. It's only gonna be about like a couple dollars here and there, in terms of like the spread. So good price point to get in right now, but long term wise, I definitely see us to go backwards, as we see the rotations coming back in, as we hear more about the contracts that Palantir is obviously expanding globally, and not just the U.S. Government, but also like for global facilities, global governments, and global corporations as well, which will subsequently increase the top line for Palantir significantly on both their Gotham and their other products that the company offers, right? So short term, I think great price points for you to get in right now. Long term wise, I first foresee us by sometimes in late Q2 or early Q3 as we see the rotation coming. Which is the timing I foresee most of the growth stocks could be rallying and then go all the way to the Santa Claus rally. So we will sometimes around like late Q3, early Q1, we should be close to retesting the all-time highs for most of these stocks. I would say at least 85% of the all-time high, probably not all the way, but if there was like some major economical shift, the whole COVID situation, is just diminish, and also the economy is coming back up, is booming, and also on top of the a lot of the chip shortage, and a lot of the growth stocks, that's also gonna have some like positive correlations to pushing growth stocks up. um that should do it. That should propel the stock upward from here. So right now is definitely a great time to buy, and also Palantir is currently showing a lot lower risk in terms of your investment appetite in comparisons to when you were buying at like the $30 or the $45 level, which was, frankly a little bit too inflated at that time, right? Now just take a look at the tip ranks, with respect to the 9 analyst holding. You could see that across the board is 2 buy, 3 holds, and 4 sells at the moment. And as I probably recall in my previous videos, I think Palantir is a company that, right now has a huge misconception, between what's the right valuation methodology to, to assess this company. I think people are thinking this is like a consulting business. This is a contractual type of business that have like kind of a lack of visibility in terms of like the cash flow generation, or is this more like a software value added provider to companies, right? So people on Wall Street are still trying to understand what this company does, knowing the fact that it's kind of a mysterious product that a lot of people don't really understand. So if Wall Street doesn't understand, I think the media affectation wouldn't subsequently understand either, because there's a lot of correlations between the two. That despite the negative or the lack of understanding that's having across the ecosystem at the moment, if you were to buy it now, you would still be, above the average of the Wall Street consensus, which is 24.75. And if you were to buy it now, knowing the fact that we reached the resistance to like 1950 right now, it's a like really amazing discount to what the company should be valued at. This will give you a 25% upside, and I think $40, in 12 months forecast is likely, knowing the fact that we did test that one time, in the earlier in Q1, before the whole sell off across all the growth stocks. So it's totally doable. But in terms of like 12-month horizons, I think we could actually get there a little bit earlier than 12 months from now. Contingent obviously the macroeconomical factors that we need to further assess and understand, and how that shakes out. But $40 in the near horizon, it at minimum 2 years, very very possible, right? And if you were to hold this right now, you could double your money from there in a year. I think that's a really good ROI in my perspective. I'm not that greedy looking for like 1,000% gains like a Dogecoin type of investment return, but obviously that's a different type of animal that you're playing with. It's more like human psychology and momentum. But this is talk about business fundamental value added proposition, right? So that's a very different understanding in terms of a trader or short-term investor, but I'm a long-term investor and I feel very comfortable if I was to buying it now. So now just take a look at the Cathie Woods holding, knowing the fact that Cathie, she did talk about on a CNBC report back in the day, I think a couple of weeks ago or a month ago, she did say something about the value proposition of Palantir, how if you were an investor, you have to think about this as a long-term perspective, knowing the fact that the company has just, in more of the recent years, shifting from more of the municipal governmental contract type of businesses to now more of the commercialized spectrum, right? Going to corporations, Fortune 500 folks, and countries of other nations, across the world, right? So this is definitely a stock that you need to be patient with. And I think, with respect to her appetites right now, I think in just like the recent time in the last couple of days so far, you could see that she's been selling here and there, but in terms of like the positioning, she has been selling like significantly to give you any like big red flags. I think she's just been kind of holding the needle around like the 1.5% weights across the board of her total investments right now. And her total market share is holding right now is about like $325 million from the ARK fund and the ARKW fund, somewhere around like the 100 million so far. So nothing really negative in terms of like her appetite. She's just like holding it, right? Knowing the fact that she even said it herself, long term hold. We need to see how the company progress going forward. But my understanding is that this is a consulting business with a very unique technological value proposition that has unlimited potential, and it has proven itself with its with the long-term relationship that it has sustained with the US government already. So just by that itself, and working with governments is extremely difficult. It's highly difficult to even gain any contracts or tractions with government entities in general. And for them to be able to do it for a long time, building that track record, it builds a lot of a strong industry reputation. And until more corporations and more commercialization and obviously more Wall Street uh, accommodation, if you may, this stock will like double, triple, or even 10x from here in the next 5 to 10 years. So definitely a good investment opportunity right now. But right now, the company has been kind of just hovering right now. But overall, in terms of like the Cathie's appetites and her activities in terms of the trades in the recent days, nothing really majorly concerned. I think this is very typical, and also on top of the Coinbase IPO, she has to kind of deploy some dollars and shake some dollars out to fund some of the even more higher growth or even more ambitious initiatives that she has in her portfolio allocation. And just to recap on all the numbers that we talked about just now, I think right now at 1950 is a extremely attractive price point for us to get in. But knowing the fact that we did breach that resistance level, so I do foresee some sort of like a short term sell off that could happen. But knowing the fact that the Palantir stock right now, in terms of the valuation, in terms of the market cap, in terms of like the macro and the microeconomical factors that you need to understand in a long term perspective, it is significantly oversold on both the technical and the business fundamental perspective. So right now, if I buy it now, I would feel very comfortable. I would sleep very well at night, and I'm actually putting my money where my mouth is. I've been putting a lot of money into it, buying heavily, every single dip. And I think on the 1950, I personally did buy the dip. I bought about 2,500 shares. I believe on Friday and Thursday. So the split here and there, 1,000 there, 1,000 there. And knowing the fact that, just take a look at the technical chart, we see that if we go further down, the next resistance level is going to be about like the 1875 or 1850. That's just a round up number. that is an amazing price point for us to get in, right? And if we go further down, right, I think $17 level would be highly unlikely unless there's like a very negative coverage with respect to losing a contract or doing something poorly executed in a contractual perspective that hinders a relationship, a long term horizon. That could We could get there, but I think Palantir has a illustrative track record of sustaining long term customer relationship and satisfactions across the board. For them to get there, it would just require some sort of like media affectation manipulations by like a hedge fund or by I don't know, something along the line that is negative that has nothing to do truly with the business fundamentals, right? That could subsequently get us there, right? And also like the as I mentioned before, like the exogenous factors with respect to the macro economical shifts that we're experiencing right now, both from the shifting back to work in normal cadence, also like the trade tension across the board in the world, then also with respect to the tax adjustments that Biden has been talking about, and some of the maybe even more latest progressions, coming from the administration as well, that could subsequently hinder the stock market overall. But overall, I think right now it's still a significant discount, like I kept mentioning again and again. I think $35 level by the end of the year 2021, highly likely, knowing the fact that we will be experiencing some sort of a rally sometimes in late Q3 and early Q4. So $35 is more of a conservative range for me, and Wall Street said 40, right? I said 35, and I think the last time all time high was 45. So 35 is doable. I think in the next 6 months or so, generating a 79-80% of a return, close to two times your money from here. Very attractive, right? Overall. So that's it for the technical analysis on Palantir ticker PLTR. Hopefully you guys enjoyed my insights and some of the analysis that I've been doing here so far. Please again hit the like button, the subscribe button, and that notification bell. I appreciate you guys joining me today, and please stay tuned for the next video. Thank you so much.